So, Dex, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas time and New Year's. We're past it now.
We are. Glad. We're New Year.
We're in the New Year. It's new us, New Year. You know,
new us. We're gonna be better reviews.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know about that.
If anything, every year we lose more brain cells than gain new ones.
See, I feel like I'm getting dumber as I get older, but maybe I've always been this dumb, but I just don't. I didn't realize it when I was younger because I was too egotistical or whatever. You know, I don't know.
Or maybe you realize that just everyone's dumb, and so are you.
That's probably a bit of both, honestly. But yeah, I got a lot of time with the family this over the holidays, and one of my favorite things that we do with my family is every year we buy some kind of family board game we can all play with each other.
Okay, sure.
So we're doing a white elephant, and my uncle's family got us this really stupid little game where it's this plastic pig that you can squish, and when you squish his belly, he makes a noise, and he makes a noise. It's do 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 do. It's a little song, a Jack in the Box, and basically it's like hot potato. So you pass it from.
So you just toss him, and you don't want to be the one when it stops.
Yeah, he'll fart.
Okay.
And that's the ending of his little song. Then you don't want to get farted on.
Okay, you don't want to get farted on. Okay.
Yeah. So then we were remarking how creepy it sounds. And so then my dad goes, "Oh my God, Brad, you and Dax could write a horror movie about this little pig."
About the pig?
Yeah, about the little pig guy. So then my dad on the fly came up with this, and he was semi-sincere, semi-joking. He came up with this.
Us?
Yeah, he came up with this whole movie idea where he's oh, and it's that one movie where the people have sex with each other and then that thing follows them.
It follows with a pig?
Yeah. So it's but you have to have sex with each other and the pig will come after the last person who had sex with it. So it's coming up with this whole mythology where the pig is there because you hear his little song, and then you see him come after you. And then he was so now I was helping him develop this idea, on the fly at the dinner table. It was the funniest thing I've ever heard, and my dad was so passionate about it too. That made it so funny.
That's awesome. So it's just it follows, but you replace the monster with a pig that farts, yes. And he has a terror radius.
Yes. That was his whole idea, and I was okay, you can't have a whole movie where it's just a pig chasing people the whole time. And he's well, why not? Halloween did it. And I was well, that's kind of true. The original Halloween is that.
That you got me there.
Yeah,
just replace Michael Myers with a little farting pig.
Yes, exactly. But I wish I could show people it, because it is, the pig actually looks very creepy. It looks like something from Courage the Cowardly Dog, a villain that he would fight.
Gotcha. Send me a picture later.
Yeah, I know. I will, and then maybe I'll record the noise or something and put it in. Because it is actually a very creepy noise. And I don't know who the fuck made that toy, but they had to have been trying to make it creepy. There's no way that they were not doing that.
That's awesome. I never expect a little pig to be scary.
Yeah, it's unsettling. It's uncanny valley shit.
Well, I love that you're spreading onto your dad the ability to write scripts on the fly.
Yeah, I think it's because my dad is he's trying to connect with me. That's really what it is.
That's wholesome.
So he's talking about things that would interest me, because we're a very sports oriented family, and I'm not a very.
And you are not very sport oriented.
No, not at all. My parents tried for years, did not work. Didn't really like it.
You were the black sheep, huh?
I was the edgy guy of the family,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fun. We all like pretty much what my family socializes on is ragging on each other.
Okay.
So it's like we all just because we like each other. If I'm making fun of you, that's how you know I like you. So I mean, that's just how we do it. So we make fun of our dad. My dad watches the weirdest movies. He comes up with the weirdest ideas, but it's all in good fun.
Hey, I like that little pig idea. We should pitch it to A24.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was like, "This could be $1 million idea, Brad, if you write this movie." That's what he was saying.
Hey guys, so imagine It Follows, but it's a little pig.
Yes.
You know that pig from Winnie the Pooh?
Oh,
now
wait.
imagine if he sang a little song.
I forgot. No, it was weird because it wasn't. You have to have sex with the pig to get him to stop killing you.
Wait, you have to have sex with the pig?
Yeah, you don't have to have sex with each other. You have to have sex with the pig. That's what my brother and I were like, what? Why would you have sex? Why would you?
What situation would arise where you would have sex with that pig?
I don't know.
If anything, I go out of my way to not have sex with a pig.
Yeah, no, seriously. Well, if he was going to kill you, I mean, what? You have sex with him or get killed?
So wait, so basically this pig comes up to you, knife to your throat. He's like, "You're gonna fuck me right now, or I'll kill you." But then when you have sex with him, he's like chained to you, like he has to chase you down and kill you anyways.
I think so. No. I think he was saying that having sex with him will get him to not kill you.
Oh, so it's just a little rapist pig.
Yes.
Okay, this changes things. Somehow the pig is now worse.
Yes, the pig is a very, very reprehensible person.
Man. Okay.
Yeah, I also had to clarify with him too. This is not a man in a pig suit. It is just a giant, humanoid pig.
A humanoid pig.
For some reason.
So it's like if like a BoJack Horseman type animal, like a pig, was like 3D.
Yes, yeah, almost exactly like that, actually.
And then he sings a little song too.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. It's just great.
You need to just get your dad behind like a computer, like a script writing software, and just like, all right, give us your ideas.
Yeah, right. My dad's got some gold. He would entertain the middle-aged crowd for sure.
Imagine like a gritty new like I Spit on Your Grave, but the rapist is just a pig.
Oh god.
Because that's pretty much it.
Yeah, basically.
I Spit on Your Grave 6. Back to the barnyard.
Oh no. Oh, it's just the pig in the barnyard show who goes crazy.
Yeah, it's that pig.
That little freak. That pig already looks creepy. Those 3D animated animals.
Almost all those characters look creepy.
I'm glad that art style of 3D animation has gone away.
It's gone.
Yeah, it started with Shrek. I feel it's a very similar thing to Shrek, but Shrek did it on a high budget.
Good.
Yeah,
Shrek
did it good.
If you don't have a budget, it looks god awful.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what Barnyard was trying to do. Anyway, I don't know how the hell we got to Barnyard, but that's fine.
It's okay. Well, we got to... All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
We got there because you were talking with your dad on Christmas inside your home. And the film we watched together was inside the 2007 film directed by Julien Maury and Alexandre Bustillo, which I probably said those wrong. But how is that
sounded
segue?
Close enough. That was a great segue. I thought you were going to say that there's a pregnant woman and a crazy lady inside my home too.
Yeah. I was like, then insane woman came and tried to extract the baby from your pregnant aunt or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but so we watched Inside, which is a 2007 French movie that I had seen before. And I guess to give context sort of why we watched it is one of our other friends and me, we always would have depravity nights which sounds terrible, but we just watch fucked up movies, you know, stuff like Serbian film, like Solo, like the Guinea Pig series, stuff like that. And you probably fortunately never got to experience those with us because you were up at school and stuff, but now you're back, and we were able to pop your depravity cherry.
Hell yeah.
And we watched Inside.
Yeah, we've been talking about watching this for a while, I feel like.
Well, okay, I need to talk about how much it took me to procure this movie.
Oh yeah,
because I still can't get over it.
Yeah.
So eBay, I've learned, is my best friend when it comes to buying fucked up movies. Because some of these movies, it's very difficult to get the unrated cut. Like this movie is, I think, very accessible. Like you can like rent it on like Amazon and stuff like that. The issue is it's the R-rated cut, you know? And after seeing this movie, you're like, okay, the R-rated cut does not do it justice, you know? Like you really need to push those barriers. So I you know me, I like collecting like banned movies, censored movies, all that shit. So I found that eBay is the best place because weirdos have these movies for some reason, the unrated versions, and they sell them. So I found this. I did exactly that. I ordered it. And literally, like, the day before it arrived, the dude that sold it to me messaged me. He's like, hey, you mind, like, when you get it, just, like, opening it up and, like, telling me what's in there? And I was like, oh, God. What does that mean? So I open it up, and it's The Crucible. Like, that Daniel Day-Lewis Crucible. I'm pretty sure we even watched that, like, sophomore year when we read the story.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that, like, a story that we read in school?
Yeah, because it's based on like the witch trials and all that.
Wow.
John Proctor.
Yeah, I remember that, John Proctor.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, dude, like this is The Crucible starring Daniel Day-Lewis. Like this isn't my movie. And he's just like, oh, I'll refund you. And I was like, well, hang on. I'm like, we can solve this like grown adults, you know?
Right.
I'm like, that means that someone else has my movie, you know? Because like he said like he swapped them. So I was like, how about you just ask the person if they want to send me my movie and I'll send them theirs, like if they're okay with like swapping addresses. And he's like, yeah, I'll let you know. And I was like, okay. Now I got this movie. I got my money back, which was cool. So to be fair, I did profit even if I did not get Inside. I still had this Crucible movie.
Nice.
Then he's like, yeah, they're gonna send it, and I'm like, cool. But the problem is we're dealing with a middleman here. You know, I don't know the trustworthiness of these people. So I was like, I really debated. I'm like, should I wait and hold on to it until I get my movie? You know, I was really debating on holding The Crucible hostage. But I will say I'm glad like the movies that got swapped was like The Crucible and they weren't buying like a Barbie movie or something.
Yeah, right.
And they get fucking that.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
but end of the day, I shipped out the movie. I only had to pay like $3 for shipping, and then I got my movie in the mail like a couple days later. So everyone won. I got my money back, and I only spent $3 on this movie. So voila.
Damn. I mean, you made out with that.
Yeah, I kissed it when I got it. I was like, so I was happy. And the thing is, because I've seen this movie before, it was on Shudder for like a month. They put up like all like the extreme French horror movies for a bit. It was like this, High Tension and Martyrs and all that. And
that's like, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, but then remember, because we wanted to do this before, we wanted to have a depraved night earlier, and I was like, oh guys, it's on here, and then it wasn't.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What did we even end up watching that night?
We watched Dead or Alive.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Because I told you about the poop bath when Patrick was sold. Yeah,
that was a good movie too.
So, this is why we're here. Inside. The plot is very simple. You could probably describe it in one sentence, and it's a pregnant woman home alone on Christmas Eve, and an intruder wants her baby.
Yep.
And that's about it. And it's a lot more in depth than that. I don't want to say it's just that.
Yeah.
Because all the characters are handled very well.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of story is simple, but there's a lot of emotional depth.
Yeah,
with everything going on.
Yeah, especially our main character. She in the beginning of the film gets in a car crash, and we see that CGI baby, which is awesome.
Yeah, it reminded me of Death Stranding a lot for some reason.
Yeah, we were making a bunch of Death Stranding jokes.
Yeah,
because it literally is like that when they grow into like Norman Reedus' mouth and little BB is there, little Lou.
To the point that I feel like it's almost inspired, like maybe Hideo Kojima was inspired in part visually by this movie.
He probably has seen this movie, so
he probably has. Yeah,
he's a horror guy, so. But yeah, so she gets in a car accident. Baby may or may not be a little fucked up. But in the process of that car accident, she loses her husband. So now she has like no husband, possibly like, like a stillbirth baby that she doesn't really want. And she is just like a hollow woman. And I know it was pretty unique because like I feel like they definitely made her almost like cold, like she doesn't smile at all. In the movie.
Yeah.
Even there's a scene because she's a photographer and she's in like her red room, and she like sees her husband like hold her, and like even in that moment she's like not even like smiling.
No, it's similar to that was Night House that we watched, where it was like, I mean, that was different. That was a different situation, but the lady in that movie,
similar context.
Yeah, she's like, she can't even like think positively about seeing like memories of her husband. Doesn't she like watch a home video of her husband in that movie, and she's like almost like pissed watching it. Yeah, I feel like it's where it's like it's such a source of stress for this character and Inside that she almost hates it, like hates the memory of her husband. That's the impression I got from it.
Yeah, because it's almost, I mean, like it ruined her life. Not that it's like his or her fault. Yeah, it's just like an unfortunate thing that happened. Right, and being that like negative in the world, you definitely don't want to bring in a baby. Especially if it's going to be a constant reminder of your husband. Right.
Yeah, it's sad. It's very emotional, and it's it definitely takes the time at the beginning of the movie to where you just where nothing's really happening, and you get to just marinate with the character, and you get to know her, and you get to see what she does on a daily basis. You get to see her interact with a whole bunch of people and see her alone. It's like it has a lot of those essential building blocks to making you care and like making her compelling. And I feel like a lot of movies we've watched kind of skip that step and go immediately into like what people are there for. You know what I mean?
And believe me, this delivers.
Oh yeah.
on what you're there for. Yeah. Like if there's anybody who I would say just absolutely loves gore, like I do, and you love practical effects and you love just over the top, like if you like Evil Dead stuff, this movie's for you. Oh yeah. Because like just when you think this movie has hit like its peak, something even more fucked up happens. which we'll cover later. Yes. But I want to know, what was your thoughts? What's your overall thoughts? Did you like it?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was very good. I thought I liked the main character a lot. I guess she's the main character. I don't know. I like the conflict. I thought some parts of the movie were predictable. Yeah. Mainly the twist, which we'll get into with the lady. But and in some parts of the movie, which I think we were kind of laughing at, kind of go off the rails at a certain point, and you're like, "What the hell's going on?" But it's like a solid like 8 or 7 out of 10 for me. That's where I put it on my scale.
See, for me, this is a 5-bagger.
That's a 5-bagger?
Okay. This is a 5-bagger. This is a certified 5-bagger. Now, I don't, maybe because I watched this the first time. Now, watching this like alone at night,
Oh.
And like you just throw it on because I'm like, oh, I heard this was pretty good. Yeah. And I was sent through like whiplash. I was like, damn, this movie's awesome. And I still think it kicks ass, even watching this other time. Like I can kind of forgive it going batshit crazy at the end. Simply because you can tell how angry it is, you know? And what I like about this is it never, I feel like, pushes any limits. Like it never goes too far.
Okay.
You know? Some like the Serbian film, other stuff in like the fucked up movie genre. Like it stays in its lane. Which I appreciate. And I mean this came out at a time in France that there's a lot of unrest. And you look at, I mean, it's called like the French extreme horror movement or like the French extremity movement or whatever. And it's basically just these incredibly violent French horror movies. And for the most part, they're all good. Like High Tension, that was Alexandre Aja who did, he went on to do the Hills Have Eyes remake. And he did that movie Crawl. Yeah, he's like doing like American movies now, like American genre movies.
Wait, because Crawl the alligator?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, that was recent.
He's been doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, he's really cool. Whenever I see him like on a new project, I'm like, okay, I'm in. Mostly because I know it's gonna have really cool gore.
Yeah.
And
Isn't the Hills of Eyes remake is also not bad? I've heard, right?
Oh, it's really good.
Okay, cool.
It's really good. The second one though, he's not involved with. Not good.
Okay.
Very stinky.
I figured.
But yeah, like High Tension, that one's talked about a lot. And Martyrs is the big one. That's like the cherry on top.
Yeah.
But like these three, Martyrs, Inside, and High Tension, are kind of like the three ones everybody kind of knows. They're on the radar. And I always wonder because in a lot of these movies, these French horror movies, like there's like riots in the backdrop. Like in this Inside, she's a journalist. And she's reporting, or she can't because she's pregnant, but she wants to go report on the protests happening. So I was like, okay, let me do some research. So I guess context as to why this film and other French horror films in that same time period were so angry and violent.
Yeah, I've always wondered this because it does seem like the mid 2000s was a very, I don't know. There's a lot of French film from that era that's very kind of violent. Like you said.
Yeah. And I mean, it's very similar to like we are like the movies that come out at the time kind of tell you the sort of overall emotion of the time. Like you look at the 70s with like Vietnam and we had all these fucked up horror movies coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like in France, like around the 2000s, I guess like police brutality was really big. And there was a lot of unemployment, especially in young people. Basically, I mean, I'm not an expert in fucking economics or sociology, but from what I was reading, basically the country is the rich is rich and the poor is poor, you know? So people weren't too happy about that. And especially the police kind of kept the poor in place. And there's a lot of systems set so that the poor couldn't really like move up.
Right.
So there's already all this tension. And then in a poorer area of France, these teens were coming back from a football game. And also I want to say that when I was reading about this, there was several different versions of this story. Some were saying that they were actually like doing graffiti. Some were saying that they were just playing football. Some were saying they're coming from a football game. So I don't know. But the most consistent one I found is that these 10 teens, they were out playing football, seeing a football game, whatever. They were walking home, and the police come just to pull them over. I guess that was very common at the time, is they would just basically harass youths in these like sort of like poorer areas. So basically just to avoid the problems, avoid any issues, they were like, fuck it, let's just run, you know? Like, we're not doing anything illegal. There's no reason for them to pull us over or hassle us. Let's just run. So they all ran. They split up. They ran to this construction site, and 2 kids hid, I guess, where some kind of generator or like electrical room was, and they got killed.
Wow.
So that kicked off a bunch of riots. And then those riots led to even more deaths.
Oh, God.
Both on like the police and the protester side. So it's very similar to like what we kind of experienced here like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds
and we're
like
still kind of getting like the trickle down of it.
I see. So it's caused by a lot of social unrest at the time, it sounds like.
Yeah, so it was basically just like a lot of tension that was waiting for a moment to be released.
Wow, that's crazy. I never knew that.
So that incident was like the catalyst. So, and again, it was kind of like us here where we had one specific incident, but it opened up all these other issues that we can now like address.
Right.
You know, so France was kind of having that at that moment. So it was very angry. You know, everyone was kind of on edge. Everyone was tense. And that's why you have these types of movies coming out because they're upset, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Rightfully so, it sounds like. That's insane. Wow.
And that's why, like, in a lot of these movies, like, you always hear, like, protests as, like, the backdrop. Whether it's not there, because I guess it was just so prominent. Because, I mean, one thing I feel like we forget as Americans, because America is fucking huge. Like, some countries are the size of, like, one of our states, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So when something's going on, like, something here happens, like, those protests that we had did not affect me whatsoever, you know? physically,
sure.
You know, like no, there's no issue. Like I don't mind. Like, I mean, I can go outside and I'm not affected whatsoever, right? Because we're so big. But other countries, like that's in like your backyard, you know? So people are on edge. They're like, okay, how let's, you know, and we know the French are very good at art. And genre films were very big at the time, so let's fucking pump out all these extreme horror movies. And for the most part, all the ones I've seen, incredible. I know I've mentioned Martyrs on here a lot, and I've talked up Martyrs a ton. That movie is incredible. I would say it's possibly one of the best horror movies ever made. Although it's not one I would recommend lightly. Because it's one of those movies where you see it and it is ingrained in your mind.
Oh, God. I can't wait to watch it. I'm gonna have to watch it on my own sometime because you've raved about it so much. I just gotta do it at some point.
You just gotta do it. We can do it together. We can do an episode on it,
dude. Yeah.
Just our new series on me showing you fucked up images. Things you never want to see.
That's fine. I'm down for it. I don't see enough fucked up images in my day-to-day life.
Oh, that's a sentence I don't know if you want to say.
Maybe not, yeah.
People are now just going to send you a bunch of pictures of like ISIS beheadings, live leak videos and shit like that.
I feel like that's such a privileged thing for me to say too, because it's like, there's a lot of people in the world who have to see horrible shit every day. I guess we're lucky enough we don't have to do that, so us Americans can watch movies that depict that, and it's like a thrill. It's kind of sad when you think about it.
The most shocking thing I see is the gas prices. Am I right?
That's very true. That's a horror movie for most Midwestern folk these days.
Yeah, that and the Culvers being closed.
Oh, that's damaging. That's mentally damaging for people here. That'll ruin your whole year.
Yeah, so I was doing a little research on Inside, and I guess this film, they went to a couple different people, but it was too extreme for the studios. But this one found it, and they said the script was so strong, they basically signed them on like immediately. Despite the fact that these two directors also, I want to say, which gives like this film blows my mind even more, this was their first time directing.
Really?
This was a directorial debut.
Damn. Very impressive.
Insane.
Yeah.
So the studio knew that. And obviously, you know, there's issues when there's two directors. You know, they can butt heads, all that. So they were like, okay, let's just give them a super experienced crew. So they had like a crew of like 30 guys, and it was them, and everyone, like, I was like watching interviews, everyone basically said that those two guys were like a well-oiled machine. Like, they never like butted heads. They were basically one guy split into two. Like, they agreed on everything. They always had the same stuff in mind. So it was like really nice to see, like, and it's funny, I love seeing these like shocking movies that are so fucked up, but then you look at the behind the scenes and they're all just like goofing around.
Yeah, they're all wholesome about it.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite bits in like the little documentary I watched was that it's such a simple stunt where they're dragging a body down the stairs, and it's the killer woman, and the actress Beatrice, she was not comfortable dragging him down because she didn't want him to hit his head. So one of the guys who coordinates the stunts was like, okay, I'll do it, you know. So they actually put on her boots for the shot, and he got in a dress, the same dress. So it was like the VFX guy in a dress and high heel boots doing the stunt, and you wouldn't notice it in like the final shot, but I just thought that was like really funny.
That's awesome. I love that. It's cool because so they are successful enough with the filmmaking that you'd never be able to know that watching it. That it's some dude like as a stunt double for her. That's awesome.
And one thing that was crazy was just this is all set in one house. It's one of those movies, one setting. And them filming, like, you know, majority of that movie takes place in like the upper hallway out of the bathroom. And it's pretty tight.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing like 20 people crammed in there with all the equipment is insane. How they pulled some of that off. Like, what you see in the shot, you look a centimeter to the left, right, up or down, and there's just people there. Because they're so cramped in there.
That's crazy. You don't think about that stuff. But yeah, there must have been like just fucking 15 people in that hallway.
and it looks like they built like a lot of the house themselves, like a lot of the stuff, because they knew they were gonna like ruin it.
Right.
With all the blood. And one thing I want to say that I absolutely love is this movie has a lot of establishing shots of just rooms in the house. And you're like, why are we seeing all these rooms? And then you realize later, when the entire house is crimson, why?
Yeah.
Because they really wanted you to see the difference.
Right. And it also helps to create a sense of tension and logic. Because if you see all those establishing shots of the house, most viewers would probably make like a blueprint of the house in their head.
Right, yeah.
So they know
the geography of it.
Right. They know where characters are. They know how long it takes character to get from one place to the other. Like, it's a good use of filmmaking technique to create tension later in the movie.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the same with like Halloween. I think executed that perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but so basically pretty much anyone they showed this to, like, signed on board immediately. Like, they thought the script was just like so good. But I guess Beatrice Dalle, I'm not sure how you pronounce that in French. But she, I guess, was a very prominent drama or like art house, kind of more independent art housey kind of movies. And that was their vision for the person. So we're like, okay, like, fuck it, you know, let's just try. Let's just get her to do it. And I guess she's notorious for not reading scripts. But her agent and people also like working on the project were like, just trust us, just do it.
Yeah.
Like, she's never done a horror movie before.
Wow.
So she was like, fine, yeah, I'll do it. And one thing that I thought was really cool is, I guess initially in the script that the killer had like no emotions, like she was very cold, but Beatrice, the actress, added emotions to her, and it ultimately, I think, works better. Especially like there's a scene where we have one character trapped in the bathroom because the killer lady's outside, and this killer lady who you think has like full control, you know, of the situation is like now on the ground, like maniacally crying. It's like a cry that turns into a laugh.
Yeah.
You know, and you realize you're like, oh, okay, this person also is not mentally stable.
Yes. That's what's interesting about it. They're like two sides of the same coin.
Like opposites.
It's like how different ways you can react to grief and dealing with sudden loss. I mean, not to spoil anything. I guess I just did, but whatever.
No. It is really just like you can either like shut down and hollow out or become very angry.
Yes.
Very angry.
Extremely angry.
I mean, it's great. I think from here now we're going to talk spoilers.
Yes.
I would say that you should definitely try to see Inside. Wherever you can. If you need to buy it off a shady man on eBay like me, I say it's 100% worth the investment. It's an incredible film, especially if you like gore. Because, oh man, this might be one of the bloodiest movies I've seen that's like not cartoony, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not talking like Evil Dead blood and gore or like Brain Dead, but I'm talking like realistic like gore and blood. This is up there for me.
Oh yeah, I think there's just one shot near the end that is probably one of the most like stomach churning things I've ever seen. Like it almost made me physically sick watching it because it's like so like visceral and sad, and you know,
is it the belly getting hit?
No, it's not even that. It's the very end when it's you don't know.
Wait, spoiler. Okay, we're in spoiler territory now. Okay, you tell me.
Okay, yeah, we're spoilers. But at the very end of when after she's had the baby taken from her.
Oh, okay, and she's just sitting in the chair.
She's sitting in the chair, yes, and then it does that slow pan up the stairs.
Yeah, yeah. And you see the blood.
You see her open stomach, and she's just like laying there dead, and her eyes are like just glazed over. Like she looks like a real dead person, and like you got to know her up until then, and that is what makes it really sad and sickening, and it's very effective the way they do it.
All right, well let's get into it.
Sure.
Let's do this.
All right, let's do it.
So the movie starts. Car crash, boom. 4 months later, we find out husband's dead. She's going to be induced in labor tomorrow. It seems like she doesn't really have anyone like close to her in her life. It seems like she's going to push people out. So her boss on Christmas morning is going to drive her to the hospital. He has like an extra pair of keys. She goes home that night, and next thing she knows, there's a knock at the door. And she's like, okay, you know, who could this be? So she's like, hello. And the lady's like, oh, like my car broke down. I need help. Like, can you let me borrow your phone? And she's like, being a single female alone and pregnant, I don't blame her. You know?
Yeah.
I would do the same. I'd be like, no, you can go to the house next door. You know? And then when the lady outside realized that her basically tricks weren't working, she was like, oh, I know you and your baby, Sarah. Like, you got to let me in. She's like, what? She's like, I know your husband died. She's like, what the fuck? And then the lady like leaves and walks around the house. And this is like one of the creepiest shots in the movie of her just standing outside in the rain.
Oh, God, yeah.
On these like big open windows.
Just horrifying. It's a very creepy visual. That's what surprised me about them being first time directors, because it's such a well executed shot, and it's so unsettling. The fact you could just barely see her in the glass in the dark,
and then when she lights up the cigarette and you like briefly see her face whenever she takes like a puff of the cigarette.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's like incredibly creepy.
Yeah, it's really well done. Extremely cool visual.
Yeah, and it hit homes for me because I always had a fear, even since I was a kid, of open windows at night, specifically for that reason.
That someone could just be standing there.
Yeah, well, because you know my parents' house. You know, like the back of the house led to like the school, so you could like see the school.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I'd be playing downstairs, you know, weekend night, and I'm playing Call of Duty 4 online with the boys. And if those windows were open, I would always look over. And you know how like buildings would have those like generators and stuff on top? But But there's one that always looked like it was a dude standing on the roof, like staring right at me.
Oh God.
So ever since like my brain put that little kernel in my mind that potentially there could be someone standing on that roof watching me, I would just close the windows.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
So ever since then, I'm like, it's nighttime. Let's keep the windows closed. So that shot right there struck a vein.
That was
with me.
That hit you in the childhood. That's how scary it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would terrify me too. And that makes sense knowing your house and how it opens up into like just a giant open field. It's like literally anybody could walk through there.
And even like I think like just seeing, even if like looking through like a door peephole and seeing someone is terrifying.
Oh God, yeah, right. Absolutely.
Especially now, I feel like we're past the doorbell age. If anyone's on my premise without me having knowledge of beforehand, it's scary.
No, absolutely. I already get anxiety just from the doorbell ringing.
Yeah, right. Even if you know it's someone, you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
You're supposed to text her here. You don't ring the doorbell. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah, so our character Sarah, she calls the cops. Cops show up, they search, they're like, okay, there's nothing here. Also I forgot to mention, while that woman was being insanely creepy, Sarah took a picture on her like Polaroid camera. But it was like too dark, so you can't really see. So the cops are like, okay, we can't do anything with that. We're gonna go. She probably won't be back. We'll like send a squad out later to check on you. You know. So the girl's like, okay, cool. So she's like, okay. She goes to bed after like a couple hours, and then as she's sleeping, another really cool shot is just in this dark room, and we just see like a figure just slowly walk into frame. You know, because like and we even commented this on watching it. The killer's design, like the dress choice, is very interesting. Yeah, she has like this black dress, these like big high heel boots. She's got like makeup, hair in a ponytail. It's very interesting.
It's very I don't know what this might be. I could be reading too much into it, but I feel like because when you think of high heels, they're like. It's like acting on some primal instinct where it's like it like pushes your hips forward.
Oh, okay.
Like so, like it's like more like promiscuous or something. And then when I think of like that long flowing dress like that, I always think of someone who's pregnant. Kind of always wears similar clothing.
You're right. Yeah, so like the big muumuus.
Yeah, so that she's like channeling that because of the child. She lost in that car accident, and she wants child,
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of saw it a little bit as like, because like honestly, if you swap the colors black for white, and she would be very like reminiscent of like an angel or something like that.
Oh yeah, sure.
The much more literal definition, but like swap it, it's almost like an angel of death.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I kind of talked about this before we watched, is you don't really see a lot of these horror movies that has a female killer.
No.
Really the only big ones like Audition, maybe. But like a lot of those movies where say there is a female villain, there you kind of sympathize with them. I mean, even look at X and Pearl,
Yeah.
The audience really wants you to sympathize. And with Inside, you can to an extent, but her actions don't justify it.
No. Yes.
Or like Audition is the same way. It's like you can, but you gone a bit too far.
Right.
And that is what I think pushes the boundaries to something being more like extreme horror. Because I think audiences are much more comfortable being able to justify the actions of your characters,
Oh, absolutely.
Where in this you can't.
It's very hard to. You feel sympathetic for her sometimes, like
towards the end. You do, but then the film quickly reminds you she's a monster.
Right. Yeah, when it gets revealed what her whole motivation is, it's like, and then also the scenes where she was like crying like an insane person.
Yeah,
you kind of think back in a different light.
Yeah, it's like she does a great job of just like switching you like on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're like, this is the scariest woman ever. You're like, oh, this is just a sad person. You're like, okay, no, that is a homicidal maniac. It's almost like something inside her takes over, like very primal.
Yeah.
And then switches off.
Yeah.
You know, and then once something happens, say a next person comes in, it's like switch back on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has like moments of clarity, and where like she seems almost ashamed of what she's doing.
Oh yeah.
And like, but then it's like that like you said, that primal urge kicks back in, and then she's back to doing what she's doing because she feels like she has to do it. She's a very interesting character.
So she comes in, big pair of like medical scissors. I don't really know what the exact word is, but the kind used to like cut leather and like clothes.
Yeah, very sharp.
big sharp scissors. And one thing you don't expect this movie to go right away is actually show you. So she sits on top of the Sarah while she's sleeping. Mm-hmm. You know, slowly moves up her shirt to reveal the belly, and she like lines up the scissors right on the belly button. You know, and it's this great shot of her slowly gliding like the scissors up, and then just right when it gets to the belly, she kind of like pushes in a little bit, like she's like marked the target, and then this is when you can kind of tell what the movie is going to be. Like at this point, if you didn't know before, like that it was this extreme, she actually then shoves the scissors in. And it's incredibly tough to watch.
Yeah.
And then Sarah just immediately like wakes up.
Yeah.
You know,
she wakes up like screaming.
I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to like get stabbed in your sleep. You know,
right?
Like it's horrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, but she's able to wake up. She like smashes her like in the head with a lamp, and then runs into the bathroom, where a good majority of the movie is set. and this bathroom is very white. It's very sterile looking. Almost like a hospital kinda. And they even have those like really like shitty lights. I don't know what you call them. Not LED. I don't know, the kinds you see in like a gas station bathroom.
Oh, they're like yellow.
Yeah, I don't know. They're very. The room is scary. The bathroom is scary, but it's very white. This is the point I'm getting at. So she's locked in this bathroom, and there is a killer trying to get her. It's a mix of shock and panic because her now stomach has an open wound in it. So there's just blood everywhere. She's freaking out. The woman is kicking on the door, but then our savior comes, the boss man.
Oh god.
Basically comes to check on her to see if she's okay. He walks in, and she quickly like runs downstairs and pretends to be Sarah's mother. And one thing I thought was interesting with this character, the boss, is he's very subtle, where you can tell he's almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing, because it's hinted earlier by I'm not sure if that was like Sarah's sister or a friend that was talking to her. She's like, oh, I want to meet like your new like boss. Like, are you like together? Almost like there's like some like tension between them.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And the boss guy was being like really nice. I mean, okay, like there's nice people, right? But like driving someone to the hospital at 6 a.m. on Christmas, you know, you got to have some motives there.
Yeah,
you know?
I think so.
You only do that for like your family.
Right.
But yeah, and it's especially weird because he comes, it's very late in the night. Mm-hmm. It's like definitely like midnight or something. And he comes like, it's
a booty call.
It's weird. It's very weird, you know, for him to just be conveniently checking. So I kind of like that implication, but it's never really expanded upon. Which works because you do feel a lot of sympathy for this man.
Oh,
Complete
God, yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time. But she's all like, oh, you know, I'm her mother. She's upstairs sleeping. And he's like, oh, she called me earlier about this photograph she wants me to blow up. And he's like looking at it. And while he's looking at it, another character walks in, which turns out to be Sarah's actual mother. And there's a very awkward altercation where they're like, who are you? And she's like, I'm her mom. Who are you? And then like the boss guy has one of those moments like if you're there and you're here, then who's that? You know? And the mom, then Sarah hears it, so she starts screaming. The mom runs upstairs, and one of the more shocking parts in the movie is Sarah's expecting a killer behind this door, but it's the mom opens it, and Sarah stabs her through the neck with like one of those sewing needles.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a complete through and through.
Yeah.
And you see immediately Sarah's face. like the realization of what just happened.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a shocking and very sad scene.
And it goes on for a long time.
Oh, God, yeah, right?
And it's so sad because like she doesn't even have time to process what happened because the killer's coming. So she just closes the door and locks it again, and she's just like crying, covered in blood. Just like she's like, mommy. Like it's very sad.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we have our boss man who runs upstairs to see what's going on, sees the body, and our scissor wielding maniac stabs him like in the back, like I don't know what that part's called, like the back of your knee. Like where that joint is.
Oh, yeah.
So he goes down, and she does him dirty. Where she and I apologize. I don't know why all these movies that I pick have some cock and ball mutilation. I never plan it. But he gets stabbed right through his pants, right in his balls. Or I assume his balls.
Yeah,
but she doesn't do it once. She goes again. You know?
Yep.
And then finally she ends up like cutting his throat and just blood going everywhere on the walls, flowing down the stairs. So now we just have Sarah and our killer again, and now we have two bodies, which this house will collect a lot more.
Yes.
And at this point, the killer is like, fuck this, I'm breaking down the door. So she starts, you know, breaking down like Jack Nicholson style, breaking down the door until there's a hole. So then when she goes to get her arm to unlock the door, Sarah stabs her with that same needle thing. And the killer's like, okay, she's freaking out. And this is when she does that insane laugh, too.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then she kind of collapses on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have our great cops to save the day. Basically, these cops, they're like on their way back. They just picked up a kid from one of the protests. And they are like, okay, this is like last on our agenda. We just got to check this house. You know, the two guys go in. And again, the killer lady puts on a nice face. And she eventually tells them like, oh, it's just my laundry machine being loud. You know, everything's fine here. No one came back. It's okay. Cops are like, okay, cool. And then when they're walking back, they're like, hang on, wasn't she supposed to be pregnant? So the two cops go back in. They immediately realize the situation. They see the body. One guy goes to arrest her. The other guy goes upstairs. While the guy's arresting her, she's able to like stab him, and she's him like right in the eye too, right?
Yeah, it's right in the eye, and then that's pretty much the end for him.
Yeah, he goes down, and he was a big guy too.
Yeah,
he goes down. Meanwhile, our Sarah opens the door because the cop's outside, and this is probably one of my favorite moments. Right when you think she's saved, you just hear a gunshot and half of his head just explodes.
Oh, God, yeah. It's awesome.
And it is so awesome.
It's glorious.
Yeah. So Sarah then screams and immediately closes the door. Now we got 2 more bodies. The killer now goes downstairs because she's trying to figure out how to manage all this shit. Meanwhile, Sarah got her. I forgot. There's just so much shit in this movie that's so badass. The killer lady pushes like a cabinet because the handle, it's not like a doorknob, it's like a handle, so she can't like open. So now she's locked in the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
While the killer has to go clean up these bodies. So Sarah's like, okay, she gets her hand out to try to push that, and the killer comes back and basically stabs her right through the hand and pins her hand in the wall with the scissors. So now cop is outside, and he's hooked up, which I think is a really cool, like, I don't know, thing for a horror movie, is where he's not handcuffed to the kid, but they're, like, tethered together.
Yeah.
Like, they're both, like, their belts are, like, looped.
Because he's like a drunkard who they caught in the middle of the night or some shit like that, right?
No, he was like one of the protesters.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that.
They're like, oh, just a kid throwing Molotovs. And the kid's reaction when they go inside and see all the bodies, and the kid's like, nope, fuck this. He's like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
So the cop gives the kid, they have like this, we were trying to figure out what it is. It's like a flashbang kind of gun that you use in like protests.
Yeah.
That shoots like a bright light.
I don't know what you call that, because it shoots like grenades or something.
Yeah,
right?
It's like a canister it shoots.
Mm-hmm.
But they called it like a sun bolt or something like that, or a bright bulb. But yeah, I mean it's like a weapon you use not to kill someone, just to like stun them.
Mm-hmm.
So the cop gets out his gun. They go upstairs. At this point, we don't know where the killer is. They find Sarah, undo her hand. The bathroom is now covered in blood. And they stitch her up, and they're like, next thing they know, the power goes out. So they're like, okay, we gotta get the power back on. The killer's probably gone. It would be insane for her to stay. So they go downstairs to get the lights back on. And then they're fidgeting with the panel, and the kid realizes, where's the light gone?
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the gun from the shadows get put to the cop's temple, and you don't see it, but the trigger gets pulled, and we see like the flash from like the stairs, and hear the shot.
Yeah.
So now you have this kid hooked up to this corpse, screaming. And while this is going on, it's very interesting because Sarah just goes and lays down in bed, almost like she's given up. You know?
Yeah, it feels like that. She's just been through so much at that point. She's just like...
It's like, might as well die.
Right. She's just done with that.
So, yeah, kid gets fucking stabbed. Killer goes back up. She goes back on her again. Got the scissors to her belly. But she gets very... And this is one thing that's interesting. She gets very, like, intimate. Like, she's, like, smelling Sarah.
Yeah.
And she's like kind of like kissing her.
Yeah, she's almost kissing her at this point.
Yeah. And when she's doing that, Sarah basically opens her eyes, and because I think she's pretending to be unconscious, and just bites her tongue out and spits it out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
She runs downstairs. They start fighting, and then Sarah basically puts the like a knife to her stomach, basically saying, hey, you come any closer and I'll kill the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So our killer lady has a John Wick moment and grabs a toaster and swings it around like a nunchuck.
Oh my god.
And knocks her out, which is awesome.
About that. Sarah fucked up there. That was pretty easily preventable.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't expect them to use a toaster.
No, yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, Sarah wakes up and we're back at the her about to get her baby extracted, and the killer lights up a cigarette like she's been doing the entire movie. She's like just stressed chain smoking. Mm-hmm. And Sarah has the bright idea to grab a Lysol container, aerosol can, and just shoot it, and just engulfs the killer lady's face in fire. So she's running around screaming. Meanwhile, like Sarah, like she can't breathe, so she has to do was it a tracheotomy on herself?
Yeah.
So she takes like that sewing needle and like pops in her throat so she could breathe, and then she wraps it with duct tape. It's like and at this point, like I cannot stress how nasty the house looks.
Oh God, right?
Everyone is fucked up.
There's blood. Sarah is covered in blood at this point from head to toe. Like she's just brutalized.
In the behind the scenes thing, I was like, they were actually like, the actresses were like worn out by the end of it. Like it was just so much violence and so long they had to be and like covered in all that blood and prosthetics that it was like grueling for them.
I'm sure it was. It's got to be brutal, and they're probably working really long days too.
Yeah,
or nights rather, because they probably had to shoot this at night.
Well, I was watching the thing, and to do the makeup, which I would say is in like the rest of the movie for her burnt face, it took 4.5 hours to put on.
Oh God, awful.
And it covers half of her face, so she's like, I couldn't see through one eye and I couldn't breathe through one nostril.
That's horrible.
So, yeah. So she had to sit through that with like all these people prodding at her.
That reminds me of have you ever heard of that Jim Carrey when he was doing The Grinch? To do the makeup for that, he had to sit in the chair for like hours and hours. And
Jesus,
like
just for the Grinch.
The studio funded the CIA to train him, like to do like torture
to hold
training.
His breath.
No,
That's
like
awesome.
to like mentally withstand torture like they do in the CIA. So
because
like
there's so many people just
because
prodding
I guess
and
Jim
touching
Carrey
him.
was having such a bad time with it. He's like, I can't do this. Like I'm literally just sitting in a chair for 8 hours while people put things on my face.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. It reminds me of that with the whole burnt face
No,
thing.
yeah. And it's funny because like that's just the Grinch.
I know, right?
That's funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have Sarah who's all fucked up. We have the killer lady. And Sarah is now on top, about to get her killer, but then one of our favorite, this is when the movie also goes completely unhinged.
Yeah, this is like, what the fuck is going on?
And we described it as a zombie, and even the directors called it a zombie.
They did?
Like, jokingly.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Because they're like, it takes a fantasy element towards the end. But basically that guy that got a light bulb shot into his skull comes back to life, barely alive. You see like burn marks around basically his eyes, his nose, and his mouth. And there's a giant hole in his head. Which, I mean, it is ridiculous, but theoretically, your brain can survive a lot of things, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I mentioned this during the screening, but there is a police interrogation video you can find around the internet where it was someone came into like this couple's house and shot both of them. The girlfriend died like instantly, but the boyfriend got shot in the face and lived. And so no one knew about it for a few days until they didn't hear from either of them.
Yeah.
So they came in, and the boyfriend had been living with like a hole in his face, a hole in his head, for days. And so they thought that he was the shooter. So then they brought him in for interrogation. They didn't even realize that because the wound had swollen up. They didn't realize that he had a bullet hole in his head. And so the whole time they're talking to him, and he's not making any sense. He's like, my head hurts. I want to go to sleep. I don't know. Like just keeps repeating that over and over again. It's actually really disturbing. But
yeah, it sounds fucked up.
And so the cops held him there, and he was like still functioning with like a bullet in his head. So it's like I don't put it past this movie for something like that to happen.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah, and you can tell he literally is just nothing on his mind. Like he's just blank.
Right.
Because once he sees Sarah, he immediately just starts swinging this he's like a pipe. Or no, it's like a baton, I think.
Yeah, it's a baton.
And he hits her, and then he smacks her right on the stomach.
Okay.
And right when he hits her on the stomach, just a bunch of just blood just basically shoots out of her vagina. And all over the floor.
Right.
And it is incredibly disturbing. And also, throughout the movie, every time Sarah takes like a blow to the stomach, we see the baby take that same blow like in the stomach.
Yeah.
and the director said that like showing the baby was essential because they wanted the audience to like not only feel for the baby but actually like physically see it.
See it happening.
So you know it's in there.
Yeah.
You know? Like you're aware that Sarah is not only just Sarah but also carrying a baby as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it adds a lot of anxiety to knowing the baby is in danger on top of Sarah. It's like nothing is more precious than a baby's life. Like it's like it really puts you on edge and you're like, oh God, please don't kill the baby. You know?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, the killer wasn't trying to kill the baby. She just wanted the baby.
Yeah, she wasn't.
So yeah, and this is where the movie, I think, emotionally takes a little bit of a turn. Because then our killer comes and saves Sarah from the zombie man by ramming her makeshift knife spear like into his fucking armpit. and like then kills him.
Yeah.
And this is where it's very bizarre. Because at this point Sarah has given up. Like she's just crawling up the stairs. Mm-hmm. And she does, and the killer, gets her on the stairs and is like, okay, I'm gonna, do this now. And Sarah is like in labor, I'm pretty sure right now. And it's almost like now they're working together.
Yeah.
In a way, and I don't know if that's just, I think, maternal instincts kicking in.
Oh, sure. And
because at this point, the killer is very nice to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's almost like it reminded me a lot of like husband and wife dynamic. Because like typically, like the husband is there to receive the baby while the mother is giving birth, and it then goes back to that weird scene where she's like kissing her on the bed. It's like there's some weird love going on there.
And also, I guess before this, I should have mentioned, which gives I think a bit more context, is that we do find out that the killer was actually the woman she hit in the car crash, and they were both pregnant, but the killer lady lost her baby.
Yeah.
So, and really, it is just Sarah hit the absolute worst person in a car accident she could possibly hit.
Yes.
Like, what are the odds of the person you hit in a car crash is a deranged serial killer? Because it's clear that this person has done this shit before.
I don't know. I got the impression that she hadn't. I feel like she was just driven to that point.
But the way she planned it out, and it's very like psychosexual, makes me think that she's done this before or has had similar interactions like this before.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I definitely
she's
think
definitely enjoying it.
Right. I think it's that was in there in her head, but maybe she hadn't acted on it before.
But it's activated it. Well, I know we kind of compared it a bit to Titan, where that flipped the switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, honestly, I don't think that part matters.
No, it doesn't really.
I think like if you get to that twist and you're like, what the hell? Why would she turn into a serial? It's like the movie is lost upon you. Like you're not gonna get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Not that the plot doesn't make sense at all. It's just like you just can't think about it.
No. Yeah.
It's just it is a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So then this is kind of, I guess, what the movie was all building up to, the extraction of the baby.
Yes.
Which they show with the scissors, her cutting open Sarah's stomach and pulling out the baby. And then we get that shot that you were talking about, which is probably the best shot of the entire movie. It's incredible, of them panning up the stairs, and the blood is just like flowing down. And it's like blood and like little chunks of, I don't know, guts, flesh, whatever. It's just flowing, and we just, see her, and we pan up, and it's just her open stomach with all the you can tell like the baby was just ripped out of there. And then her lifeless corpse. And then we get the final shot of our killer, completely half burnt, covered in blood, rocking the baby in the little rocking chair in just a room completely covered in blood. And it rules.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good ending shot for sure. It's very eerie and weird.
Yeah, it's incredibly scary. And I just want to say, like, the actress who did the killer Beatrice, incredible.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She is so good, and just like her face is like perfect for it. I don't know how to describe it. like she's not ugly,
No,
at all, but she makes herself scared. I don't know how to describe it. It's very weird, and you'll understand when you see her.
She's kind of got crazy eyes. I think that's part of it.
Yeah,
Nothing against her.
She has a really big smile.
Yeah.
Like really big lips. But I think what works, and again, it's what I've said a lot, is like if you like horror movies and you're passionate, you can make a good one. And I think that was the case with these directors. Because they said they were big horror movie fans and they wanted to do a genre film. And the actors and actresses were all so dedicated to it. Like the actors for Sarah and the killer, they actually did like fight training and stuff like that. So when they're fighting, they can like get closer to like the blows and it doesn't look so fake. Like all of them, like basically the director said, okay, we're going to do this scene. It's going to be incredibly hard. You're going to have to do all this prep time. You have to do this. And they're like, yeah, okay, fuck it. Let's do it. Like pretty much everyone was just so sold on the project and they knew it was going to be awesome that everyone just gave 100%.
That's awesome.
So there really wasn't any like corners cut. They didn't really have to like compromise anywhere. They just got to make it, which fucking rules.
Yeah, that's great. You can tell there's a lot of passion in it, and the fighting was all really realistic and brutal too. It's like,
yeah, very violent.
Yeah, I feel like that them training really helped the movie, like push it and make it real to the viewer.
Yeah. I mean, it seems real.
It does. No, it definitely does.
You definitely disassociate a lot, like between reality and fiction when watching this.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I do really like the movie. I think just to get into like some of the negative aspects of it, just like stuff that I didn't really like. I think the movie is very effective at making the scenario really realistic and scary. So much so that like when the zombie cop just got up and then started swinging that thing around, I was like, what the? It felt very out of place and it was like kind of weird.
See, I'll give you that, but I disagree. I think it works incredibly well.
I mean, it just was like, it was almost a jump the shark moment. But
yeah,
it after that it wasn't really, it didn't like continue that outrageousness, so it was fine. Yeah, and then I also I kind of wished that at the end the baby was dead.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
We were talking like I don't think that thing is gonna have a lot of issues. You know? Yes,
but I mean, well, yeah, that too, but also just as thematically.
Yeah, like all this violence equals this.
Right, like it feels like it's almost rewarding the killer because the baby's still alive. I mean, she's not going to get to take care of the baby. Like,
wow, Brad, are you promoting dead babies? You're saying that you want the baby to die?
No, I'm promoting consequences for bad actions. That's what I want.
Okay, that's fair.
No, that.
No, I get you.
And it also felt very like, because the baby is not moving when you look at it, and the only thing you can hear is a crying. So it very much felt like a post-production thing where they're like, I have no idea if this is true or not. I'm totally speculating, just so you know. But like it felt like they were trying to get like maybe less of a harsh rating, because if they showed like a baby dying as a result of something on screen, then it would have.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like to me, because it felt like the thematically correct thing to do would be that at the end she's holding a dead baby and she's like delusional enough that she's pretending it's still alive and like cradling it.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I feel like it should have ended that way to me.
I'm 100% okay with how it ended, but I do see what you mean.
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying another theory is that, child labored a lot. So it's probably maybe very difficult to get a baby, especially
True.
for that kind of movie.
Yeah, true.
So that's probably why they had to do it in post.
Probably.
But hey, it looked better than, what was it? The American Sniper baby.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, yeah. they actually lit it correctly so that you could barely see the baby, and it's not just out in the broad daylight, like it is an American Sniper. Yeah, and then the last, I guess the last negative I had about it was, I knew that the killer would have something to do with the car crash, like the moment.
Oh yeah,
it happened, or the moment she showed up, because it was like they never. At the beginning of the movie, they never talked about the other people in the car. So I was like, okay, well, she's going to be related to that somehow. So
you figured her motivation, she wants the baby.
Yeah. Because or else what would the point of her being pregnant be? Like, I mean, but that's like a really minor negative. Like, because I just like things being not predictable, not as predictable. I don't even know what you could have done, because I liked it. I like it as is. Like, I like knowing so much about the killer and why she's doing it, because that's what makes her interesting. And I feel like
even though, while it is somewhat predictable, I feel like though it is given to you at the right time, because it is at the time where even Sarah is on top, and she realizes what a pathetic piece of shit this killer is.
Oh,
like she's like hiding in a closet, completely burnt.
Yeah,
and almost like pleading.
Yeah, I feel like it was essential to have that backstory, even if it was predictable. Yeah, I don't really know how else you would go about it, honestly. So,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just think this movie fucking rules.
Yeah, it's very good. I really liked it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
It's rare to see a movie with this much, I wouldn't call it shock factor, but I'm sure to maybe people who don't watch a lot of horror movies, or especially movies like this where it would be very shocking, but to be executed this well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To have actual characters that you like and are rooting for.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very rare in like a gore movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
no, yeah, because people like, you're here for this.
Yeah,
You're here for the violence. We're gonna give it to you.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really liked it for that. It was well done. What else can you say?
Just wait till I show you Martyrs. We'll have a lot to discuss then.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
We'll do it.
Okay,
we'll do it. Our Martyrs special.
Our Martyrs special. Oh God.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 6 hours long.
Yeah, 6 hours. Why Martyrs is the best film ever made.
Oh God.
It's a red circle arrow. Did you see this in Martyrs? No, yeah, all these French extreme horror movies are badass, and they're all executed really well. And it's almost to the point where I know horror movies don't feel that artistic at times. But this one, while the story is very simplistic, it is executed at such a level where it is very like art house.
Yeah, for sure.
Level, like execution of it. Because I feel like where most movies would pull punches, this one just goes for it. And again, thematically, the times, it all makes sense. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yay!